Hi, I'm Kelly Rowlett-Presgrave. I'm president and CEO of Work With Your Hands, and we are so proud to be a sponsor of Power Women of the Trades podcast. You can reach us at workwithyourhands.com. Kelly at workwithyourhands.com is my email.
At Relentless Digital, we believe in breaking barriers and driving innovation. That's why we are extremely proud to sponsor the Power Women of the Trades podcast, supporting the voices and success of women in the home service industry. Together, we're creating a future where talent shines, regardless of gender, and diversity thrives. Join our journey at relentless-digital.com and always be relentless in your pursuit of excellence.
This episode of Power Women of the Trades is also brought to you by Forrest Perry of Forrest Perry Digital Marketing. Want to generate more leads for your service business? Trust his team to deliver quality new customer leads and protect your brand online. Check out perrymarketing.com today.
Chirp, the ultimate automation toolbox for home service businesses. Chirp helps you capture more leads, connect faster, close more deals, and create customers for life. Through text message, email, and ringless voicemail automation, Chirp can help you transform your customer's experience. Learn more in the show notes below.
Welcome to Power Women of the Trades podcast. This show is all about breaking barriers and changing the game. Our guests will feature some of today's most successful female entrepreneurs and other advocates of our industry as well. Because if there's one thing we know for sure, female-led entrepreneurship drives change on multiple levels. We want to empower women in the trade industry like you so you can maximize your potential, stay balanced, achieve long-term success, and claim ownership over your life. Let's get started. Tune in for part 1 of this chat with Heather Bargender-Wavra, Chief Financial Officer at Sky Heating, AC Plumbing, and Electrical. Today we're talking about common accounting mistakes to avoid, how to catch theft in your business, and the daily objectives of a successful finance team. Heather highlights the metrics she and her finance team look at each day, the critical part of accounting that most trades businesses are missing, and how she even got into the trades business as an accountant in the first place. More importantly, you'll learn why theft is a common problem in the trades business and how forensic bookkeeping can be the key to catching and preventing theft and profit loss in your business. Stay tuned for part 2 to hear more about Heather's journey as a power woman of the trades. Don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date on our latest episodes and learn more about our guests and any of our sponsors in the show notes below.
So Heather, I'm so excited to have you with us because you've been like my little bestie bestie. I've been like coming to you for stuff forever, I feel like, and I always appreciate the relationships that we've made in our space because I could always come to you with a question and be like, okay, tell me this, and you would just shoot me straight, and even if I didn't know, you didn't make me feel stupid. So I think that's what's super interesting or awesome about your position at Sky, and probably attribute to Sky's growth. Like, you understand the numbers.
Yes.
And like you were saying earlier, numbers, you're not a revenue generator, but you know the numbers to generate the revenue.
Right.
Right?
And I know if it looks wrong, and I know that it's done correctly, and I know that what I'm reporting to Travis and the rest of the management team is accurate, and we can drive our business on that.
And that's a huge deal.
What numbers do you look at daily?
I look at what we're pacing towards, how much revenue.
Do you have like something outside of Service Titan that you use to look at that, or you look at stuff inside Service Titan?
We use Service Titan as a tool, just like I think everybody does.
Right.
And I think one of the biggest issues that a lot of contractors have is their Service Titan is not set up correctly. So garbage in, garbage out. But we as a management team have a daily huddle every single day, and we talk about what we did the day before, how many calls we ran, plumbing, electric, HVAC, service, maintenance, how many maintenance agreements we've sold, what we expect revenue to be for the day, and we look at 3-day trends. So if we see things starting to trend downward, we know that we need to either be outbounding or turning up the marketing or, upping the pay-per-click, anything that we can do to generate revenue to kind of turn the corner so we don't continue down a downward path.
That's pretty important to catch the trend quickly, because if not, you lose control too quickly and you lose your entire month.
It's critical.
But I agree with what you're saying as far as like, I am like super confident in our Service Titan numbers, but there was a time I wasn't, and it wasn't Service Titan's fault. It was ours. You know, we didn't do it. We didn't input correctly. We didn't put the stuff in the way it should have been put in. And so you have to get to a spot where you can truly trust your numbers, because I think that's a critical mistake for a lot of people.
It's your whole business.
Yeah.
If you're driving your business on incorrect information.
Yeah. And that happens so
or
often.
looking just like at your monthly
I get phone calls from these people and they're like, we did such and such million in revenue, but we don't have any profit. We don't have any money. You know, companies are either not priced right, they're not tracking correctly, their conversion rates are wrong. It's just a lot of different things it could be. Or the price book isn't set up correctly and they're giving stuff away and they don't realize it.
Well, and then it's funny too, because I talked about this on a different episode, but sometimes for me, it wasn't that we weren't doing anything incorrectly. It's that the actual reporting was wrong, because I talked about this earlier. Literally, in my QuickBooks, I had an entire week of July payroll in August. And so I was just like, how did we have such an amazing July? And people kept asking, and I was like, I don't know. And if you don't know, that's a red flag. But also,
well,
you know,
like,
what did I do?
A critical piece too that a lot of companies don't even track is the accrued payroll.
I remember when we went to accrual and I was like, oh. I think I messaged you. I was like, I just ran accrual against cash and I'm really sad. Why am I even doing this?
Right. So accrual payroll, what were you saying?
Well, if you're every 2 weeks or semi-monthly, or you're not paying weekly payroll, or even if you are, you have days that you're paying in the following month that were for days worked in the prior month. Mm-hmm. And so if you're not accruing that cost back, then you're overstating.
Yes. And so this was happening on a regular basis and it wasn't being fixed.
And then you can't manage that correctly.
Right.
So we're constantly looking at that too. And I think the biggest driving force is the daily huddle, because we look at, okay, what do we expect to do today? Then the next day we'll look at, well, what did we end up doing? And then we have a discussion as to why. Like, why did the sales not close? Or why did these estimates not pencil out into what we thought they were going to?
Well, but like you're saying, where for 1 month you're overstating gross profit, but then for the next month you got a major issue because you're like, why is it so off? And you've got all this extra payroll, you know, and those are the things that just, when you grow so rapidly, you don't catch. And so having someone inside the business that has a skill like yours is so profound. And so who helps us inside of our business? There's a lot of being self-trained, she didn't know all those things. And so I think, again, you have been able to see those numbers reflect them. And so a little bit of your history, what did you do before? And then how did you get here?
I've been in the trades 26 years. I started in commercial construction back in the late 90s. Loved it. Loved the construction industry. Like I've said in many other podcasts, in the late 90s, women still weren't respected in the trades. Mm-hmm. They were never going to be more than a secretary or paper pusher, maybe do accounts payable, but not a respected position in any construction company. And so when I wanted to grow into my career, I worked at the general contractor for almost 3 years. Wasn't really going to go anywhere. Actually was told by my boss at the time that there wasn't a place for women in construction.
It's crazy.
It's not like that now, but it was like that. Yeah. And I was just not, I'm like, whatever, I'm going to do what I want anyway. So I went to work for an engineering firm just because I wanted to stay in the industry. And then I went to work in the building industry at the worst possible time in 2007. Right before the market crashed. So then I found myself working for a large commercial drywall contractor, and at a time when my kids were young and I was a single mom, and my youngest son needed more of my attention. He needed more of my time. He was having learning issues at school. And so that's when I went out on my own and became a forensic accountant in the trades. So I would go into businesses where I worked for myself, and I would just go into businesses that needed help or didn't know why their business wasn't profitable, or the same thing, like we made money this month, but not this month, and we don't know why. So I would train them on what was working, what wasn't working, the processes they needed to be implementing every single month, and then I would also fix their books and find theft, which is a really common problem.
Where, okay, immaterial.
Theft in material, theft by the bookkeeper.
Really? That is my biggest fear.
Do you think it still happens? Okay. And
When you bring it in-house, is it easier to do that?
I still wonder, like, I see that. I hear you on it. But then sometimes I'm like, with Service Titan, I still have a hard time. And again, I'm not trying to be naive, and maybe because I'm too like right straight up in my books. So like I know what's coming and going. So I don't feel like it would be an easy thing for something in our business, because I know how much revenue happened today. And then where's the money, right? I think I would catch it pretty quickly. But with Service Titan, like I feel like it was a bigger issue maybe back in the day when it's paper tickets and tickets could just disappear.
Well, not everybody is on Service Titan either.
But you could still easily do it with material in your Service Titan, be right.
So if your inventory isn't managed correctly, you can have guys doing jobs on the side that you don't know about. Then you've got inventory shrinkage. There's theft there. From a bookkeeper standpoint, she might pay herself a little bit extra, or maybe pay her utility bills, which these are just things that I've seen.
Right, because you would just see that it would just get booked towards utility.
Pay for things that would normally run through a business and just pay your personal side too.
Oh, wow.
Dang it,
Wow.
Heather.
There's a lot.
I can see now that you're saying that, I'm like, I would never see that. You're telling me one more month, an extra $130 went to electric, and I'm going to notice that and think, because she booked it.
Right.
Why would I ever see it?
There's one that it was a big forensic case that I worked on in 2011 for a builder who was an amazing builder. He still is an amazing builder, but his bookkeeper would take a draw, and then she wouldn't take it out of her paycheck when payroll would come around, and he would allow the draw. And then she would also steal money. She'd write a check to herself. She'd sign the check. She'd cash the check, but then she would go back and re-enter the check 5 different transactions that equaled the same amount so that the bank would reconcile to legitimate vendors.
Isn't that crazy?
I wonder almost if you shouldn't have a forensic accountant come in once a year, or besides your regular bookkeeper, is this a service that...
That's what I used to do before Travis snagged me.
Now I'm thinking like, well, who's checking my bookkeeper?
Most businesses' online presence is boring. And by being boring, they're losing out on potential sales and customers. Being interesting and exciting is what draws customers in and gets them to buy from you. But it's hard to be interesting online when you're focused on running your business and taking care of your customers. It doesn't have to be this way. We have the key to unlocking the solution to your problem. Key Heart Marketing can help take your business from boring to brilliant on social media. We can vouch for them. They run our podcast socials. If you want to have a strong social media presence that allows customers to know, like, and trust you, connect with Key Heart Marketing at keyheartmarketing.com.
Yeah, because there is a lot of responsibility there that's not trackable. And especially if like we don't do that on a daily basis because we had to hire someone to do it because we didn't know how to do it or whatever. And then how would you know?
How would you know?
Especially if they're writing a check, they're cashing the check. Say it's $1,000. You take the $1,000, you cash that, but then you you enter it into QuickBooks or whatever accounting software you're using as a utility bill for $130.75, and then say a marketing campaign for $725.
It's so crazy to me because my brain doesn't like. I know. Listen, I'm not like a beaming the best person. You know where you're always going to stand with me, right? Like I'm going to say what I'm going to say. I know you know that, right? But
nobody ever questioned that about me.
Right, never. You never question that about me.
You think it's crazy someone would do it.
I just can't make my brain like be that crazy. Like I just don't think I could make my brain come up with a way to screw someone like
because you're not a thief.
Because it's so smart and creative.
You know, it happens more often than you guys would believe.
I would be devastated.
It is devastating. And this particular one, this one case that I did in 2011, I actually knew who the bookkeeper was. I had worked with her about 15 years prior.
Does she have to go to prison?
Do you
Did she
have
go
to
to
bust
prison?
her?
I did. And it was really funny when she walked in the room and saw my face, and she was just
I
like,
know.
She was like, "Ah, shoot, Heather got me. If Heather's here, I'm done."
Would you ever have thought, since you did know her, this was someone capable of that?
yes.
Okay, so you were already okay.
I had worked with her at a prior job about 15 years earlier, and she was doing it on a smaller scale there. She was like, we would buy gift cards for the employees for like safety awards.
Yeah.
And she would just buy extra ones and pocket them. And I knew it. And I was really young at the time, so I didn't say anything. And then I moved on. But then when I came into this particular client and was going through his books, and I said, all I could see was her first name. And I'm like, what is her last name? And he told me, and I said, I guarantee you there's going to be theft here.
Uh-oh.
And he goes, really? Okay. And I said, she is that kind of person. I know this from past experience. I've got to dig into this. And I actually brought in another accountant to help me because she did it really multiple different ways. And it was to the tune of about $125,000.
Oh my gosh. Leslie's face. She was like, what? Okay.
Over the course of like 3 years.
But still, that's like,
Okay, I have a hypothetical. This is funny. This is coming up. I want your opinion on this. Okay, so I guess we'll say asking for a friend. So say there is an employee who is responsible for bringing lunch or breakfast once a week for training, and they have a company card. They always get the breakfast approved, but then they personally sign up for the rewards part so that they can get the free rewards for them. Like, do you see what I'm saying? So,
Well, those rewards should be applied to the breakfast that the company's paying for.
okay, right, because the company paid for it, but the account was set up under a personal name so that they could acquire those rewards and get free food later. How would you handle that?
I mean, if your friend is okay with it, well, it's still deceitful. It's a fine line. I would have that conversation and say, hey, we're paying for breakfast for a plumbing meeting.
Yeah.
And you're reaping the rewards for that. It's really no different than, I mean, if it's on a small scale and you're okay with it, that's
Right.
not really stealing. But it's like if our company credit cards have rewards on them and we're getting a couple $1,000s in rewards a month based on how much the total spend is, those rewards should really come back to the company or be used to supplement travel or training or, something like that. And that's what we've always done at Sky is, the rewards always go back to like a purchase eraser or, credit travel or that kind of thing. So, I mean, if you're okay with it.
This feels gross, though.
If you're not okay with it, you have to have that conversation.
No.
my thing with that is that like normally if you're willing to do something, then there's something else that you will do or are willing to do.
And that's why, like, if they asked and they said, hey, can I use these rewards that I get from Chick-fil-A?
But the same thing is like personally for me, I would have handled it differently had it been a conversation first.
Sure.
Well, yeah, because then it's like they're being forthright about it.
Right.
And they're saying, hey, if I'm going to pick up this breakfast, do you mind if I use the rewards or should that go back to the company? Because the company's paying for these breakfasts, then the rewards that are earned from those purchases belong to the company. And I think a lot of people just dismiss that.
Yeah, because it's like, well, it's just rewards.
Because it's a character.
Because
It's
it
a
makes you
character
question.
thing.
It's a character thing because, again, part of me, and then some employee is going to be like, it literally was just some rewards at
know,
this
and
place.
you're the bad
and
guy.
you're literally like, it's not that. It's that it feels deceitful. And what if it was next time this?
Or what if another employee who's struggling financially to feed their family for whatever reason is like, well, that's not fair. Like, why
Can
does
I
this
go pick the
employee-
food up every time?
Yeah, and then you're going to have somebody say, well, like, we've had this happen. Can I clean the office? I want to make an extra $200 a month.
So like here recently, this is funny about rewards because like me and Oscar, like for whatever credit cards we use for the company, we'll do things like that. Like we'll purchase travel through the points or whatever. But every once in a while, I might make a personal purchase or something, and I have the right to do that, right? Through the rewards.
Well, you also own the business.
But I own the business. But I own the mother trucking business, and I will feel guilty about it. Like I will feel guilty about, and so it's funny to me how people, the perception of it. It's like I own the business. I have the right to use the reward. but then I'll feel guilty about it. And then someone will make you feel bad for the other way. And again,
I would be the same way because that's how I feel about Sky. Like everything should be for, the business and go back into the business.
I was talking to our warehouse manager the other day, and it was literally like, I said, I made such an adult decision because I had found some reward points and I could have got a Gucci purse. I literally called Leslie and was like,
"Oh, the one Elson ones."
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna get a Gucci purse, and then I could have done so many different things, but we're building a house, and so I chose to use some of those rewards for like pots and pans, and it was free. But then I still felt guilty about it. And y'all know, like, we have elaborate Christmas parties. We give gifts to everybody. A lot of times we'll use those points for those types of things. We'll do all these things, like in my heart, I know. And so I'm back there telling my warehouse manager, like, I feel like I need to justify to her, and she's just like, okay, you could have got the Gucci bag if you wanted. And I'm like, but I did not,
I got pots and pans because I'm an adult.
Feeling a little like I shouldn't have. But anyway, so getting back on track because there's so many things there. But you were forensic accountant, which I feel like would have been hard to give up because I like the tea. Like I like the drama a little bit. So I would have been like, I don't know if I can give that up. But you did.
I bet there's things that you see that you have to hand it to that person because it's so, like, her doing that in 3 different transactions. Like, she knew what she was doing.
She knew exactly what she was doing.
It's like you could just channel that into being something positive. You could go really far.
Yeah,
like,
but you had to be shysty.
You're choosing to be
shysty.
And that's what's sad because you want to believe that people have good intentions.
Did she go to jail or anything? Did people press charges?
He did not press charges because he wanted her to pay him back. So we came up with a payment plan and she had to pay him back. And if for any reason she missed a payment, yes, then she would have been prosecuted. I did not agree with that decision, but it wasn't my decision to make.
Right.
I thought it was so wrong and so deliberate, but I've seen that a lot. Yeah. Where I will uncover things. Most of the time the person's gone or, it's too late and we just pick up the pieces and try to help them start over.
This has been Power Women of the Trades. Like what you hear so far? Leave us a review in Apple and make sure to listen to our other episodes wherever you enjoy listening to your podcasts. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.